Hey, Vanna. So I think this will probably be the penultimate. That's right, penultimate. Hey, Blueberry Muffins. I think this will probably be the penultimate episode, I hope, of our life. Hey, Comic Brook. Hey, Mr. Zhongli. Hey, Jordan. Hey, Mons. Okay, all good there. Good. All right. Hey, Tara. Hey, Anonymous. Waiting a week to see Cove blush and stutter over something mundane like table settings. Hey, Arjun. Not sure. I don't know how much we'll be able to see him blush and stutter today. Because today there's dance lessons, which are being taken separately, so he's taking his dance lessons, and then I'm taking mine. And then after that, there's, the day of the wedding, lots and lots to do before, on the day of the wedding to get ready for it. Hair, makeup, getting dressed, crying with friends and family. Jamie's definitely going to give Cove a playful dip and make him stutter. Like I said, it's Cove will be getting his, the lessons are being given by, what's his name, Baxter. Baxter is giving the dance lessons, so Baxter's going to give Cove dance lessons first, and then I'll get my dance lessons. They will be separate. I did check that. I did sort of skip ahead, and yeah, the anklet flashing in the light of Disco Ball. Disco Ball. It's outside. Never heard of this game before? It's a visual novel, Zhongli. It is really nice art. It is. I do find the art to be very pretty. But yeah, it is a visual novel. So it's and it's an extremely chill one. It is the chillest of visual novels. The premise of the game: you start at 8 years old, meeting a new boy in your neighborhood. Cove, the little boy on the left. So yeah, 8 years old, you meet this new kid in your neighborhood. At the beginning of summer. Accidentally attract fish with your shining anklet. There it is. There you go. Breakdancing? Probably not. Hey, Authentico. Hey, Joel. So I talked a little bit about that yesterday, Mama, but my stance is trans rights are human rights, and protect trans youth. Protect queer youth, really. Yeah, my opinion is protect queer youth. More specific to the protest, protect trans youth. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah. So you start 8 years old. Beginning of summer, you meet a new kid in your neighborhood. You spend the summer with them. Get to be friends with them. You get to know them, get to be friends with them. Then you skip ahead 5 years. 13 years old. Beginning of summer again. Spend time with him and other friends, and then skip ahead to 18. And then skip ahead to 23. Hey, Jenna. Yes, Jenna. How do I feel? I mean, I feel like I don't like transphobes. And I feel like kids have a right to privacy. They have the right to come out when they are ready, and should not be outed to anybody until they're ready. So the idea that teachers should be forced to tell students if their kids are expressing questions about their gender, no, fuck that. Parents should be telling teachers if kids are expressing their gender in different ways in schools. Yeah, screw that. I'm overweight in the brain and just want to know how you're doing. Fair enough. Oh. I mean, I'm doing okay. Overweight in the brain. I like that phrase. I like that phrasing. Hey, Harlem. That is very cute phrasing. Is everyone doing? Yeah, we're okay, I think, Harlem. So, one thing I would note, Zhongli. That is a very common opinion. That's a lot of people say that. I somewhat disagree. Even with the best parents in the world, we are not married yet, Harlem. Even with the best, most supportive parents in the world, sometimes kids just don't know how to talk about this shit. Right? It's not even necessarily sometimes they are absolutely right. They're absolutely right to worry about how their parents would react. Other times, they might not even necessarily be worried about how their parents would react. It's just, it's a tough conversation to have. That was playing games? Give a few more minutes to see if anyone trickles in, Jenna. I suppose just about everyone's here. I think, 15 people. Probably not going to be too many more people trickling in. But yeah, sometimes that is a tough conversation to have. Even if you know your parents will support you and love you and, hey, PK, and, do everything they can to support you. Sometimes it's still just a really hard conversation to have. Shamik Moore and Christopher Lloyd. Any recommendations on horror comics? Horror is not something I particularly read. There's one, Emily... Shit, I'm blanking on the name completely. Emily Carroll. Emily Carroll is a good one. Oh yeah, that's actually good. Your mom is a tough conversation to have. Nice. Another one I have read that I really liked. Insects. Insexts. So insects, but the C is replaced by an X. So Insexts. It's by Marguerite Bennett and who's the artist? Totally blanking on the artist. How dare I? Ariel Christantina. That one's really good, like, erotic body horror. Like, that one's, like, really good erotic body horror. And just, yeah, it's really cool. Emily Carroll is maybe one of the biggest names in horror comics. Yeah, there are bigger names who write horror comics, but she's one of the biggest names in horror comics. One of the big ones. And is really, really good. And Meredith McLaren has done a couple of good horror comics and has another one that I believe is still crowdfunding. I believe is still going on Kickstarter. Is it about sex or insects? Yes, Jordan. Is it about sex or insects? Yes. Is about the only answer I can give to that. Period piece, lesbian, erotic horror. Body horror. It is a period piece, lesbian, erotic body horror comic. Which... it's really good. It is a great comic. Suppose I should say feminist period piece, lesbian, erotic body horror comic. So anyway, yeah, blueberry muffins. So yeah, my three answers would be Insects by Marguerite Bennett and Ariella Christantina. Lot of stuff by Emily Carroll. She's written quite a few horror comics and, you know, all really well received. And there's a couple horror comics by Meredith McLaren, who I just generally love. I do not like horror films. I'm not big on horror in general. Alright, and time to get into it. It is time to get into the game. 15 minutes, that's enough time for people to come in. Right on time. You entered Baxter's office for your next meetup. He was waiting there for you.
So?
Hello. Were you both able to find pieces you're happy with? I think so. It's gonna be wonderful. Yeah. As it should be. I find being on constant edge enjoyable, in that sense anyway. What shall we be doing today? Last thing left is, I feel like we should begin the dance sessions. The last thing to do before the wedding.
Exciting.
Oh, you want to get started on that? Exciting! Baxter gestured down to the other door in the space, rolling his wrist to point with his whole hand in an extravagant gesture. There's a room here in the building you can use for dance lessons. Did you know aphids are born pregnant? Like tribbles? Aphids are tribbles? It's a real time saver. Dragonflies spend months in water as nymphs, if not years. Nymphs. I'll need to schedule it, of course. We'd need to be certain there wouldn't be any conflicts. If you could wait a moment, please. He pulled out his phone and swiped his finger a few times. His brow furrowed as he checked some sort of calendar. He tapped something with a flourish and looked up with a grin. Cove watched with open antsiness. Cove and I can attend lessons in the afternoon. Then, Jamie, we can have the evening. I believe I can pencil us in as early as tomorrow for the first sessions. Happily, there is enough vacancy in the event room for individual sessions. One-on-one lessons are ideal for this. Every person is at their own level and will need guidance with different aspects. I can get everything arranged today if that works for you. Nature is crazy? It is. Cove nodded seriously. There was no hesitation coming from his corner, despite his jitteriness. How are they impregnated in the sack? Probably best not to think about that. Let's do it. Yes. Baxter is the suited and booted man, yes. Baxter is the shorter of the two. Cove is the green hair. Cove has the green hair. Yeah, Mr. Zhongli, you came in like right near the end of the game. This is actually DLC. Like, this is actually post-game DLC that I'm playing right now. Like, you came in after the whole rest of the entire game is finished. We're in the middle of post-game wedding DLC, and even that we're halfway through. All the wedding preparations have actually been completed, so so you've missed basically everything. But it's possible you might still get to see the wedding itself go down, depending on whether it happens tonight or if we have to wait until next week. You shot Cove and Baxter. A pleased thumbs up. not a problem, Zhongli. Not a problem. It's just it's a kind of a funny thing where it's like, oh, what's this? Right at the tail end. You're coming in with 10 minutes left in the movie. So I'll try to provide context where I can, but anyway, Zhongli, if we're honest, most of the people watching haven't been paying attention from the start anyway. Most of the people here, I feel like half the people here probably need a reminder that this is Cove. And this is Baxter. Yeah, I feel like most people have trouble, aren't entirely sure. Anyway, you shot Cove and Baxter. Please, thumbs up. Yeah, that's good. Oh, one other thing I will mention, Mr. Zhongli. My player character is named Jamie. They are non-binary. I am playing a non-binary protagonist by the name of Jamie. Oh, Slander's this way. Baxter placed the phone down to clasp his hands together. His enthusiasm was hard to miss.
Excellent.
I'll make it happen. And he did. Baxter made the necessary arrangements right afterwards. He asked for your input occasionally and finalized the times. What kind of cake did Cove choose? We chose together. I don't remember most of the details about the cake, honestly. I've forgotten most of the stuff about the cake. 5 tiers. I know it's a 5-tier cake. Nice young man who loves his mom and the water. And his dad. He also loves his dad. Chose his dad as his best man for the wedding. He planned each detail out exactly. Any specific idea that Kovryu had was jotted down and added to the considerations. 5 tiers, unusual, and rainbow. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for remembering the cake details, yes. Rainbow because my character is queer. What kind of music are you thinking of? Would you rather go with something fast or something slow? It doesn't have to be ballroom staples. I'm more varied than that. A recent wedding I helped with went with classical music for the first half, and then early 2010s dance music for the last half. There is no wrong answer to this. Is Canada humid at all? Parts of it are humid. Cove shrugged and left space for you to answer. Alright. Anyone have any preference for music? I'll be honest, I'm partial to alternative music, but I don't know that alternative music necessarily makes a great fit for a wedding. I feel like there's always zero humidity in Canada. I mean, depends on where you are. Like, Alberta tends to be pretty dry, for example. Alberta is fairly dry. Ontario, pretty humid. Alt. There's also love songs. It's on the beach. We need, like, rock lobster. Ew. But yes. Pop. Throwbacks. Throwbacks are a good one. Theatrical music might be kind of fun. I think the problem with throwbacks from when we were growing up, it's like, wow, this song sucks now. It's like, man, I remember loving this song, but no, it kind of sucks. Video game soundtrack is a rather broad term, which is actually a good thing. Mass Effect, possibly a bit too much. I mean, there's a couple songs in there. There's a couple songs in there that you could totally dance to. We'll play the Life is Strange soundtrack and cry. Jazz could be smooth, yep. Everything sucks if you hate it hard enough? Indeed. It's impossible for songs to suck if you like them in youth. I would disagree with that, Jordan. I liked Ice Ice Baby as a kid. Or, I was super into Megadeth as a teenager. Could not listen to Megadeth now. Play November Rain on repeat. Yeah, that's right, yeah. It is a summer wedding, luckily. Soothing sounds of Sleep Token. You have awful taste, I suppose. Thank you, Jordan. Anyway, the ones I'm leaning towards are love songs, theatrical, alternative, and video game soundtracks would be kind of fun. Personally, I am personally leaning towards love songs. Camp Rock soundtrack. I don't even know what Camp Rock is. Who doesn't like a good love song, you know? Pop music? Ah, pop music sucks. I don't like pop music. Disney. Theatrical music would also be kind of fun. There is some really good theatrical music out there, but yeah. I'm gonna go with love songs. You had already started thinking about what songs best fit Cove and your relationship. Baxter nodded approvingly. Cove was even more supportive of your recommendation. Name one love song? Shit, you're putting me on the spot. I Like You So Much Better When You're Naked? Does that count as a love song? I don't know. Maybe I'm Amazed? Okay, some of the songs I'm thinking of are like Unrequited Love. Gray or Blue, that is a very much unrequited love. All This Time by the Heartless Bastards. Hey, Rebecca. TV dinner mukbang. I don't want to. There's Always a Love Song by The Cure, right? It's a great one. Actually, that is a good one, isn't it? Frankly, Love Song is a fucking awesome song. Leona Lewis, Bleeding Love. Good thing the boys are there to dole out approval of your taste. Thank you, Scrapegoat. Cool. I think I can guess some of the songs you're hoping for.
Absolutely.
Of course. And speaking of, let's chat about particular tracks. After continuing to discuss music selections for a while, your office time with Baxter finished, and it was time to leave for the day. The Cure, Love Cats, Just Like Heaven, hell yeah. Fried I'm in Love. Just Like Heaven's a good one. Yeah. The Cure do have a song called Love Song, right? That is a Cure song. I'm not mixing it up with a different band, am I? Goodbyes were said, knowing that the separation wouldn't last long. Tomorrow wasn't far. The hours passed by quickly. It felt like a blink by the time the session rolled around. A bit after lunch, you drove Cove over to his first solo dance lesson with Baxter. He was definitely nervous on the drive there. Despite his usual anxiousness, he insisted that he wanted to do the lesson on his own. He would show you his moves after he practiced. You wished Cove luck and dropped him off, hoping he had a good time. You drove off as soon as he disappeared into the building. The plan was to run errands until it was time to pick him back up. You had heard about a new store that had opened recently. It was close enough that you decided to check it out and see if they had anything worth getting. Unfortunately, the store didn't have a good selection compared to other options, but you stalled in the snack section. You debated buying something in order to not leave empty-handed. Yeah, I'm blanking on how Love Song actually goes. Okay, I'm curious if anyone has any suggestions on this. I might be able to guess what people want me to pick up out of all these options here. Chips, chocolate bar, sugary fruit snacks, healthy fruit snacks, pre-portioned packages of cheese and jerky, or nothing. As an illustrator myself, that car interior is beautifully rendered. Cars are not easy to draw here. Like, I've heard that cars are really not easy to draw. Do I even need to ask what my audience would want me to pick up? Chocolate for Harlem, cheese and jerky for Vanna, cheese and jerky for Zhongli. You might be new to the channel, but you're already fitting in just fine, Zhongli. Cheese and I'll be honest, I thought it would be unanimous for cheese and jerky. Meat. Because we've talked about jerky on this channel before. Jerky is one of those things that comes up pretty regularly as a topic for some reason. And I mean, you know, cheese. I actually meant to pick up some cheese when I went to the grocery store today, but totally forgot. Lately, I've been picking up, like, beef. All we talk about is meat, exactly. Biff. Yeah, lately, whenever I go to the grocery store lately, I've been picking up, like, just some vegetables and dip. Just as, you know, something different to snack on. And I always pick up a little bit of cheese as well, just because it goes well after the vegetables and dip. But I forgot to pick up the cheese today. Anyway, yeah. Pre-portioned packages of cheese and jerky. You scooped up the box of savory morsels off the shelf and brought it to the checkout. Another store that you knew would have what you needed was minutes away. A short drive later, and you were on your way to finishing your errands. It was nice to keep busy while waiting for Cove. What veggies? Just like baby carrots and celery. Dip of choice? Ranch. Keto? No. I do not do keto. I do not do any diets. Never heard me say the word. Yeah, just like a little package of baby carrots and a package of celery. You're our savory morsel. Thank you, Comic Brook. When the time came, you drove the car up to the front of the building, stopping where Cove stood on the sidewalk. Yeah, not sure how long I'll keep up the veggies and dip thing, but, you know, it's a bit of a change of pace. Broccoli? Fuck broccoli! I'm trying to think of a... Broccoli! Raw broccoli is great for stomach pain. Well, I don't have any stomach pain, so fuck broccoli. When the time came, you drove the car up to the front of the building, stopping where Cove stood on the sidewalk. Cove greeted you with a smile and hopped into the car. He closed the door behind him and buckled his seatbelt with a click. It's great for... Oh, great for causing it. Ah. Fair enough, Scriptgoat, fair enough. How'd it go? Cove shifted in a seat while rubbing the back of his neck. It was awkward, as he probably guessed, but not that bad. Hankering for some veggies and dip. I'd be off to the supermarket at 2 a.m. just to get some. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a 24-hour supermarket in Cornwall, where I live. There's a Walmart that's open until 11. I think that's about as late as anything goes here. 11 or midnight, I don't remember. He brightened as he thought back. You listened to the vivacity in his voice, even as he focused on driving through the parking lot. Baxter is kind of a good guy. Not a bad teacher. Iceberg lettuce. You pulled out from in front of the building and started making your way through the first intersection. What did you talk about with all your time together? To yourself, you admitted you were really curious. From what you could remember of that summer years ago, Cove and Baxter never spent time with just each other. Fruit kebab? Scotland? Ah. Man, I miss Scotland. I really want to get back to Scotland at some point. Cove hummed in thought. We mostly just focused on the dance lesson. I think we also talked about some general wedding stuff? He asked me about the material of napkins I liked. Nothing personal. He didn't bring up anything from back before, when he wasn't our wedding planner. He paused for a moment, then continued. It had to have been on purpose. I guess he didn't forget how I'd get uncomfortable when people acted too friendly too fast. You heard Cove tap the car door with his fingertips as you made a right turn. Everything in the US is at least 25 hours. I wouldn't have minded talking a little more now, so we kinda made progress in more than just my coordination. A smile tugged at your lips. That was good to hear. You finally pulled into a parking space and parked the car. You couldn't linger in the car too long given your own lesson. It was time to go. You looked at the grocery bag in the back seat with the snack you had bought. All the best spots? The hidden beaches I don't care about. The locks I don't really care that much about either. I'm not much of a... Scotland sounds like a place where you could live 4 to 6 hours from a store. I mean, some rural areas, but I mean, Scotland's not that big. And most people tend to live in cities. One of my cats is Scottish. If I were to go back to Scotland, I'd want it to be during Fringe. I'd really want to hit the military tattoo. I'd really want to see the military tattoo in Edinburgh Palace again. I got to see it once as a kid, and it was really cool. I thought it was like really cool. So I'd love to see the tattoo. And Fringe. The Fringe Festival is just really cool. Some castles I'd probably want to hit up again. Loch Ness would be... Loch Ness, I think I went to Loch Ness once as a kid. Meow. In the Highlands, it's fairly annoying to get around. Yeah, true. Also wouldn't mind seeing the Isle of Skye. I never did get to see the Isle of Skye. Anyway, I'll offer some of the cheese and jerky to Cove. If you're hungry, feel free to snack. He probably needed some fuel after dancing for so long. Where's a Tabby O'Shanter? You pointed over at the food, and Cove's eyes widened at the sight. That's perfect. I'll see you later. Bye. I love you. I love you too. Hey, JJ. Does your cat eat haggis? Even cats have better taste than that. Okay. You left Cove with the car and walked with a bounce in your step to meet up with your wedding planner turned dance instructor. The doors of the office building let you in after a firm yank. The air was cooler than what was outside. You followed Baxter's direction from yesterday to navigate the wide halls. A left past the fire extinguisher, and then a right at the first set of doors. You found a set of thick glass doors. You peered into a large event room. It had to be the place. You entered the space and noticed the towers of chairs on the sides of the room. It was easy to imagine the room filled with a crowd, but for now it had all been cleared for your private class. Haggis it exists. You walked across the empty tile floor to the counter at the back, where Baxter was. Paul Haggis was a dedicated Scientologist. Boo! He raised his head and waved you over, setting aside some notes he had been reading. With the paper and an elegant fountain pen left on the counter, he strode forward and met you in the middle of the large room. Can we eat, Paul? Um, yeah, I'm gonna leave that one unanswered, I think.
Hello.
Welcome back. Welcome, Jamie. I'm glad you could make it. Hey! You waved at him and smiled warmly. You left Scientology because of their views on homosexuality? I mean, good on him for getting out of Scientology, I guess, because fuck Scientology. I hope you've been well. I'm ready to boogie. You pantomimed a few dance moves enthusiastically. Baxter chuckled. You've come to the right place. Baxter pulled a remote from his jacket pocket and clicked a button. A speaker system he hadn't noticed before crackled to life. Familiar music filled the room. He must have been busy to already have the songs that you had talked about yesterday ready. He tucked the remote back into his pocket, and then Baxter turned his attention to you. He offered you his hand.
Well.
I'll lead. At least, at first. We can switch later if you prefer. His gesture felt grandly formal. He'd had enough performance practice to really feel as if he'd stepped out of a fairy tale ball. You took his hand, ready to get started. His fingers linked around yours, and he put his other arm across your back. You relaxed into the proper form for the dance, muscle memory taking over. Baxter did not attempt to direct you, just remaining present as a reliable partner. You followed the music, timing your steps to the rhythm until you found yourself relaxing into it. Practicing like this is helping to smooth out any creases your flow might have had before. You love my Baxter voice? Why, thank you, Harlem. Baxter suddenly smirked, the twitch of his lips getting your attention immediately.
You know.
Oh, you know. I recalled that it wasn't just dance lessons I was available for, was it? I also offered to give you rides whenever you needed them, didn't I? Hopefully I haven't let you down with that. It took a moment before you understood what he was talking about. You laughed, clear and bright. I think I'll be alright. We have our own cars now. You were impressed he still remembered. But then again, you also remembered it. It had been a particularly memorable summer all those years ago. Being firmly in the flow, the discussion died down. The only exchange was the music and the sound of your shoes on the sleek floor in time with each other's.
Perfect.
How'd things go, or glad we met again?
I...
Trying to decide between asking how things went with Cove and telling him I'm glad we met again. Thoughts? Oh, alright. Good night, Zhongli. Good luck with the groceries. Do I still dance often? I'm pretty sure his answer is no.
No.
Yeah. Don't compete and doesn't keep it up with it as a hobby.
No.
I think I'm gonna say I'm glad we met again. I'm glad we met again, you know. He faltered in his step, throwing the dance to a halt. He recovered quickly, his toes going back to precisely formed motions. But his face still showed the strain of the upset. He took a deep breath. Tremors went through his shoulders from the effort of keeping his perfect poise. I apologize for vanishing so thoroughly, and not even attempting to keep in touch. It was unkind. His lips twitched. It was closer to a grimace than anything resembling a smile, even though you thought that's what he was attempting. I didn't think it mattered at the time, to end it completely once I left Sunset Bird behind. At least, that's what I told myself. Or rather, what I hoped would be true. I wished hard that when you, and everyone there, didn't see me anymore, that you'd never think of me again. You'd go on with your lives happily, and I wouldn't factor into it. He paused again. How did music sound so much like cold silence? That doesn't make much sense to you, I imagine. Baxter offered a one-shoulder shrug for your supposed trouble. Magnesium deficiency? You made a soft, encouraging noise. He took another deep breath, and determination sparked in his eyes. It's the eternal story of my life. I want to be liked, but I can't be important. A friend for a season, a planner at a wedding. That's me. I'm not like him. Cove is a fiancé. He stays. He tries. Clingy, I think your friends and family like to joke. I never thought so. He didn't even care for me, but was willing to dance together to do a better job for his weddings. In life there are just some ones, and then there is the one. You found your one, and I'm genuinely thrilled you did. And that he found his. All I want is to assist with that happiness, and to not get in the way of it. But I've begun to ramble. We don't need to get mired in my troubled past when the future is so bright. Baxter's tone was pointed with finality. That was as much as he would say. The pace of the dance sped up, going back to what it had been before. You nearly stepped on his foot at the sudden change. Since he clearly was not going to discuss it more, you didn't attempt to pry for more details. This had gotten into incredibly personal territory. You deserve to be important. He dropped his gaze at your words, uncomfortable with your sincerity. You decided not to push anymore, and the tension slowly drained out of him. I mean, some of us do, and there are some of us who do kind of feel like, background characters. Baxter schooled his face, and for all the world appeared like the conversation had never affected him. Oh, I can't ask him how things went. I can do this as well. So tell me, how did things go with Cove? Baxter chuckled as he led you to the left. You followed, watching his reaction more than your feet. Cove is a remarkably sweet man. You have nothing to worry about, in more ways than just his dancing. But I won't say anything else. Instructor claimed privilege. That response piqued your interest, past simple curiosity. What had happened? The question was plain on your face, but Baxter suddenly focused on your heels. With him staring downward, you paid more attention to your timing.
Perfect.
Very nice. It was clear that you weren't going to get more out of him on the topic. Oh, I can ask him about the dancing as well. Do you still dance often?
No.
I don't compete anymore, if that's what you mean. I haven't even kept up with it as a hobby lately. I do it for weddings, if the couple would like me to assist. Background characters are the best, like all the background fish in SpongeBob being absolutely savage. There is that comic book. Sometimes background characters stand out. Sometimes background characters are great. Like Star Trek. Star Trek The Next Generation. There's a background character of a dude wearing a scant, and, it really stood out. Yeah, he was like, he's just this dude wearing a skirt in the background of a shot, and people still remember that dude. He gazed into the distance, somewhere else for a heartbeat. Then he came back to you and smiled. I still love dance. Clearly. He wiggled his eyebrows and put emphasis on his movements. You had to admit that he appeared happy enough during this session. There just isn't room for everything. I imagine that you've dealt with similar situations in your adult life. I see.
Thanks.
Thanks for giving me an excuse to make time for a dance. The feeling is mutual. You also love the excuse to dance. This session was a lot of fun. If only the world gave more excuses to dance. That would be a planet you'd love to live on. You just gotta move to the musical world. Gotta live in a musical reality. You get to sing and dance all day. You focused on your movement. Sometimes background characters are little shit stirs like this passive-aggressive twat. Dude. The acoustics of the room were surprisingly good for dancing. The music was at a good volume, and despite the tile flooring, the tapping of your steps didn't echo distractingly off the walls. You tried to relax your shoulders and place more confidence in your movement. Left foot, left foot, turn. You observed the easy way Baxter seemed to glide across the floor. Following his lead was easy, but you concentrated on taking it further. You mimicked what he did, attempting to learn his gracefulness. He chimed in after he noticed what you were doing and made small suggestions as needed. You both continued to dance as the song cycled through and back. Thoughts played in your mind about the surrealness of reconnecting with Baxter again after all these years without contact. However, that was secondary to your goal of dancing well in your upcoming wedding to the love of your life. What is the difference between background and secondary characters? So a secondary character is somebody who does still play a role. You've got the main characters who get the bulk of the focus. In this game, Jamie and Cove are the main characters in this game. Secondary characters would be the parents, Baxter, friends. They would all be secondary characters. They're present. They play a role in the main story. Background characters don't tend to play much of a role in the main story. They don't really have any impact. They're just there. Secondary characters may have lines to say or a backstop. Background character doesn't speak. Yeah, background characters, they'll rarely speak. Occasionally. They might get the occasional line here and there. But backstory. They're really just there to fill out the world. Background characters are there to fill out the world, I think is sort of what it is. Secondary characters are there to give the main characters people to bounce off of. Cheerleader and BF from Daria. So yeah, like a secondary character is there for the main characters to talk to bounce ideas off of, things like that. Background characters are just there to make the world feel more full. Quinn is a secondary character. What if they just served a foil? Are they secondary? They might be. They might, if they're there as a foil, they may be secondary. They may actually be primary. You can go either way. Sometimes the foil is just a secondary character. Sometimes they are a main character in their own right. As like a primary antagonist, for example. It wouldn't be too much longer until you would be doing this with your husband. Yeah, you asked to lead. Can I lead now? I was about to suggest that, if you want to give it a try. You both rearranged your positions, and you were off across the floor. It was different from following Baxter, but it didn't take long for you to rediscover the right tempo. By the end of the session, night had fallen. You said goodbye to Baxter, and Cove came to pick you up in the car. You mirrored his actions from earlier in the day, climbing into the passenger seat and clicking in your seatbelt. He took the opportunity to copy you as well. So, how'd it go? The amused sparkle in his eye let you know that using your words was completely and utterly intentional. Top 5 favorite X-Men? Cyclops. Yeah, so I think Kate Pryde, Cyclops, Karma, Storm, kind of depending on the writer a little bit. Illyana. Danny Moonstar is awesome. Sunspot once Al Ewing really once Al Ewing especially. Like, Sunspot was always good, but especially once Al Ewing turned him into like this kind of mastermind type of character in New Avengers. Really really enjoy that version of Sunspot. Emma Frost is always fun. Jean Grey, when the writer understands that she's like not a princess, like that she has an attitude. Like, Jean Grey is great when the writer remembers that she has an attitude. Always loved Jubilee. Grew up on Jubilee, so last two I said. Illyana. So Illyana Rasputin, aka Magic. Danny Moonstar, aka Danny Moonstar. She just doesn't have a codename anymore. Her original codename was Mirage, but she ended up dropping it, and like she just doesn't bother with a codename anymore. It's just, no, I'm Danny. Her codename is Moonstar. Like, that's her codename. She's a badass. I love a lot of the Academy X kids. A lot of the Academy X kids were really cool. Surge was great. Rockslide. Loved Rockslide. He started off a little bit. He started off as a bit of a dick, but he grew into like just one of the best characters. Just so much fun. Him and Anil. Danny Moonstar is going to prison for 30 years to life. Yeah, she's a cop. I will say, Danielle Moonstar's worst period was when she was a cop. I don't think she would be a cop now, but I need this for stuff and things. Very subtle, Jordan. So I suppose I can predict what the next piece of art will be. Actually, speaking of art, want to mention that DJ Cummerbund did a mashup of that "Teach Me to Dougie" song mashed up with was it I Write Sins Not Tragedies or something like that? I Write Tragedies or what's the name of it? No, Dazzler. I do like Dazzler as well. Dazzler is awesome. She's definitely up there. Jubilee is up there as well. She's great. Yeah, I write. Yeah, so. Yeah, Panic at the Disco and the Dougie thing. So yeah, DJ Cummerbund. I teach sins, not Dougies. I write Sims, not tragedies. I write sins, not tragedies. Yeah. Yeah, I write sins, not tragedies. Yeah. So yeah, he mixed. So yeah, DJ Cummerbund did a mashup of I Write Sins, Not Tragedies with Teach Me to Dougie. Also thrown in is various songs about dancing. So yeah, that Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston thrown in. Safety Dance by Men Without Hats. Everybody Dance Now. Couple other songs that mentioned that have bits about dancing. Ew, no, don't play. I mean, I like DJ Cummerbund. I like his mashups. They're fun. He does such fun mashups. He's just the best. Could have had music streams. Yeah, unfortunately not allowed on here. Anyway, it was really nice. You enjoyed connecting with Baxter and couldn't wait to dance with Cove in the near future. Cove grinned widely, happy for you. I'm glad this was a good idea. Also, did I thank you for buying me a snack earlier? It was good. You're welcome. I hope there's some left. You craned your neck around to inspect the back seat. You saw an additional sack and Cove laughed. Don't worry, I didn't eat everything. I bought some drinks to go with them. I thought they'd be nice for a post-dance pickup. Cove better know how much you loved him, especially in moments like this. Hey, seriously, what did you and Baxter talk about? You couldn't forget how Baxter phrased it all. You were too curious. When you were together, did something happen? I don't know. He sounded truly confused. He tried to think back, but it was apparent that nothing came to mind for him. We didn't talk about anything important. Why? Did he say something to you? It seemed like he was implying something. The angle of Cove's eyebrows crept into the concerned territory, so he elaborated. It wasn't bad. It actually seemed good. He thinks you're sweet. Cove's brows then pinched together. They were approaching deep thought. I guess. Well, I'm not good at dancing. I never have been. You know that. It's hard and nerve-wracking. And I made it clear why I was going through with something I'm not cut out to do. Who it was for. He showed you a soft smile and his eyebrows evened out to normal. Maybe that's what he meant. You blushed, your eyes straying to a window. The parking lot had emptied out from earlier this afternoon. It really was just you and Cove. Cool, time for some car sex. Maybe it was. Marissa! No clue what's on this video. Is this book? Sort of. It's a visual novel. So it's an interactive story. Basically, it's just a lot of still images like this. And you choose dialogue options, basically. Movie that you're reading the subtitles. Not really a movie, because it's, like I said, static images. Yeah, a visual novel is a type of interactive story. where basically you make choices that influence partly how the story will go, but more how your character develops and how the relationships with other characters develop in this case. Sort of interesting I come into the car sex. There's not actual car sex. The game is rated, like, I don't know, probably teen. Actually, not sure if it's even, like, rated in that sense. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really have a rating of that type, but I'd say it's probably, like, probably most appropriate for teen and up. I suspect tweens would not have any problems. Yeah, I suspect like tweens that would still be able to, that it wouldn't be inappropriate for tweens. How does chat join? It's interactive. Who's changing stuff? Well, like the people who wrote the game, they just there's different, you get different dialogue options. So like in the case of this game, you get different dialogue options, and depending on what dialogue options you choose, it affects your relationship with other characters. Still read Cam Jansen books. Hey, Ugly Hobo. You felt very lucky to have such a loving fiancé. With the day's arrangements taken care of, Cove pulled out of the empty lot and started to drive away. Next time you were scheduled to come by, it would be for the usual kind of office visit. No dancing required. You highly anticipated meeting back up with Baxter. You had a good feeling about where this wedding was going. When you arrived for your session that day, you noticed that Baxter's foot was tapping against the floor in a steady rhythm. It seemed the lessons from the day before were still in his mind. Hey-ya! Hi.
Good afternoon.
So nice to see you again. With all of the work, planning, and effort a thing of the past, you are having your final appointment with Baxter. The two of you situated yourselves on the purple couch in your normal spots. The Cove was unable to treat the visit as anything near normal. His legs had stiffened from nervousness so badly, the bend in his knees was like the snap of two branches. He nearly fell onto the cushion. Baxter, on the complete opposite end of the comfort spectrum from Cove, smiled with a natural ease. Well, then. This is the last time we're likely to see each other until the day of your wedding. Are you feeling prepared? So here you go, Marissa. You get, this will sort of shape the kind of character that you are, I will say, a fair number of dialogue choices don't actually matter. It doesn't matter what I choose here. It's just, does my character feel ready for the wedding? This is just, allowing you to shape your own vision of your character. Yes. Cove didn't react whatsoever, not to Baxter or you. He was frozen solid. Baxter ran his hands along the inside edge of his jacket and placed his most encouraging smile on his face.
To be honest.
In all honesty, you've both done beautifully. Your wedding will be an event to be proud of, and I'll be there to make certain it flows smoothly. All you need to do now is enjoy yourselves. Each line Baxter spoke chipped away at the frosted shell around Cove, until it cracked. Your fiancé replied in a small voice. Thank you. Wow, thanks. Now. Having broken the ice, Baxter easily shifted back into work mode. He touched the tips of his fingers to a pile of papers on the desk to his side. I've got the details for the hotel for you here. I was able to book 2 standard single-bed rooms for you and your parties to use to get ready in. The hotel is minutes from the ceremony venue, so you won't need to make a trip out there the morning of.
Not bad.
Thanks, Baxter. You're good at this. Hey, J-Dot. We all missed you yesterday, J-Dot. Cove's admittance was almost embarrassed. He scratched at his cheek and shared a look with you. You remember how hard of a time the two of you had getting a room when you would come into Sunset Bird for your mom's anniversary. It was an ordeal. Cove chuckled, knowing you were reminiscing over the same experience. Baxter accepted the compliment earnestly, without prying. He leaned an elbow against his chair's armrest and propped his head up against his hand.
Glad to hear it.
I'm glad to hear that. I do strive to be. He continued to relax, following up his prior motion with the cross of his legs. And I very much appreciate your great patience with the series of questions throughout this experience. I do still have yet one more topic I'd like to discuss. 7 more days till my birthday. Hey, that's right. Make sure to remind me closer to the date. Well, I'll try. I will try to remember it for the day of, J-Dot. When you leave here, the wedding planning is over. Do either of you have an opinion on seeing your beloved before the ceremony? That was not something Cove had considered. He didn't have words to back up the hasty interruption. Baxter smoothed it over by elaborating. I know some couples follow a tradition of completely cutting contact in the lead up to the wedding, so it's a reuniting when they come together for the ceremony. Others stay apart physically, though communicate over the phone, and there are those who don't participate in that whatsoever and stay with one another. Yes, thank you, Scapegoat. Remind me closer of the day. This time Cove gave himself space to consider it, letting the concept sink in.
I don't know.
I mean, I didn't have plans to be away from Jamie. You know, I like being around them when that's an option. But I guess maybe we could do that? If it's a special thing for weddings. Cake-themed nails, sprinkles, or Neapolitan? He laughed breathily and sent Baxter a question of his own. Are you gonna make fun of me for being clingy now?
Never.
You knew just how much Baxter meant that. Cove, however, didn't have the same context. Oh, okay. That's lucky for the both of us. I'm clingy too. In disbelief, Cove's eyes bounced back and forth between you and your planner. He was able to express his want to always be around you, and no one in the room had given him a hard time for it. Cove absolutely beamed at that revelation. It was a pre-wedding miracle. You were charmed by both his overt affection for you and by how cute he genuinely was. But you made an effort to not be entirely distracted, and you gave an answer to the question at hand. White cake with Wednesday Addams on it? Cool. I mean, yeah, I want to... Fuck the separate rooms. That's stupid. Same room. Cove, I wanted to share a room with you. Yes, definitely. Obviously. I did Chrome and I really liked it. I'm glad you asked, because, yeah, I am a little clingy. Cove shuffled the balls of his feet against the carpet, all the while glancing over at you bashfully. You held on to his sweet gaze, feeling grateful knowing that you wouldn't have to go without that anytime soon. Off to the side, Baxter watched the two of you from his spot on the office chair. The fondness in his expression for you and Cove had tipped past his usual professional distance. Not wanting to ruin the moment, he spoke in a soft voice.
Perfect.
Very good. Everything is settled then. From there, the rest of the meeting was spent going over final details and the whole plan step by step. Baxter wanted to make sure you were on the same page and prepared for the events ahead. Velvet nails. Neat. Reduce cling with a damp paper towel or dryer sheet. He shared amusing anecdotes of past weddings he'd planned. Some highlighted actual potential pitfalls you could intentionally avoid, and others were 1 in a million debacles. The most unbelievable was the story of a particular orchard ceremony from the year before. The stage was set with flowers, a walkway, seating, and a wooden arch at the end. He was looking on in a final survey, primed for the guests to arrive, when an out-of-control truck with a back end full of apples drove straight through. The driver was unharmed when he got the truck to stop, and the couple were still married, albeit in a much simpler arrangement, but Baxter distantly remembers the almost comedic surrealness of it. Seeing a completed wedding, and then having it flattened back to the ground in the blink of an eye, was something he never expected, or hoped, to experience. While the planner chuckled in recollection, Cove leaned over to ask if you thought there'd be any reason a fruit truck might have to be at your venue. You were pretty sure there wasn't. The stories and laughter continued until the end of the appointment. It reminded you of the final day of class before summer vacation. Technically, you were still in school, but everyone was eager for the fun to begin. Man, that's something that you don't get as an adult. It's just, like, that's not something you ever get to experience as an adult, where, like, you've had something going for a long time, you know, that's something that you've been doing for a while, and, you know, it's over. It's still technically, like, it's not officially over, but everything that needs to be done is done. So you just chill. You just let your brain leave and just have fun, you know? Man, I haven't thought about that sort of thing in forever, and now I'm sad. It's like the best thing. You know, all this stress, you know, you had something that's been a big part of your life, and then it's over, and, like, all the stress is done and over with, and you can just... all the people you've been through with it, or been with through it. All the people you've been with through it. Yeah. Why don't adults get to experience that? Is just what I'm asking. Why don't adults get that sort of thing? Now I'm sad. Why do you think women are less happy after marriage compared to men? Because they're marrying men. I don't know. Men are happy because, like, yeah, I got me a woman. Woo! Hell yeah, a woman! And the woman was like, fuck, now I'm stuck with a guy? I feel cheated. I want to trade in for a woman. Everyone just likes women more. Then goodbyes were exchanged as usual, with promises to see each other soon, like there had been every time you'd visited. However, when you left the office, you had to wonder if you would ever go back there again. When you saw Baxter next, it would be at the wedding location. Maybe you would return someday, if you and Cove decided to renew your vows and needed a planner again. I like to think those studies are outdated, but I imagine women might try hard in the first part of marriage to care for men, but maybe not. That's probably a part of it. Women feel more obligation to keep trying to make the man happy, while the man is just like, oh, yeah. We're married. The time to impress is done. Now it's time to start farting freely again. Now I can start farting freely. That's what it is. Throughout the relationships. Throughout the relationship. That's what it is. Men and women both, there's this weird thing where men and women both feel like they have to, hide their farts in front of the person they're dating. Once they're married, men no longer feel the need to hide the farts. They're married. They can be themselves. They can let go. They can fart freely. The women still feel like they're supposed to hide their farts. Maybe that's what it is. Men fart more openly, and thus are happier. Women still feel like they need to hide their farts, and thus are unhappy. If everyone would just fart, everyone would be happy. Or maybe you could visit just as friends, and not as customers. Under a wide starry sky, you and Cove hopped into his car to head back. Despite having done it many times before, it felt completely different that time. After the click of seatbelts being snapped into place, there was a silence in the cab. None of the boisterousness from minutes ago had come along with you. Women don't fart. The ones with a good sense of humor do. Cove's expression was pensive as he rounded the curb and got the car out onto the street. A gentle rumbling resonated over you from wheels rolling across tarmac. That was the only word he managed to articulate before his mouth clamped up tight again. He had an internal struggle made visible, and ultimately he made enough peace with it to finally smile. Literally never heard any of the women here fart, me included. Don't know that you've ever heard me fart either. But I promise you, I have. Ugh. See? Right there. Right now I have a lot going on in my head. You probably guessed that. There's so much I want to say to you about us and what's happened. All of this. But it would probably make more sense if I said it during the wedding, right? His voice dropped to a complete whisper, but his grip on the steering wheel intensified. It's so close now. Cove took in a deep breath through his nose, allowing his fingers to loosen again. That was followed by him answering his own question.
Don't worry about it.
Pretend this didn't happen. I can wait for you. Thanks. You're always nice to me. That warmed you up inside. Nothing felt better than knowing he could rely on you. But there's a lot of other things I'm thinking about too. Like the fact that these are the last moments of our lives together, not being married. After this, I'll be your husband and you'll be my spouse. Unbelievable. I love you, Cove. I love you too. Aww. Twisting in your seat, you let the side of your face rest against the back of the chair. You rested there at the end of such a long project, watching your almost husband as he continued to drive ahead. The two of you were moving forward, full of hope and anticipation for the very near future. After days, weeks, years of waiting to commit yourself to the love of your life, the morning of your wedding arrived. It was a realization that hit you as you laid in a dark hotel room. You were still half asleep and totally cozy. You weren't able to tell exactly how long you'd been up at that point. There'd been a lot going through your mind, and being cuddled up next to Cove hadn't helped. His shining aquamarine eyes were open, You wondered when he had woken up too. It could have been just then, or he might have been lost in his own imaginations for a while himself. But when your gazes met, you became everything he was immersed with. His hand moved from its place against your back up to the nape of your neck, and then brushed past your ear and against your cheek. Ko's fingers drifted over your skin warmly, gently, and completely steady. They flowed like a wave from a summer sea. Of course, you'd known Cove for more than long enough to be aware that this tranquility wouldn't last. Once you officially got up for the day and you'd have to prepare for the ceremony, he would inevitably become, in the most complimentary way you could think of, a panicked mess. But for as long as it was only you and only him, hidden away together under the sheets, those worries couldn't reach him. You were each other's shelter. It hadn't ceased to marvel you the way sharing a bed had become one of Cove's greatest sources of comfort, after years of it being one of his biggest struggles. It was wonderful. In a soft voice, your very soon-to-be husband finally spoke. Congratulations on your wedding. Congratulations on your wedding. He squished his face deeper into the pillow happily. Thank you. Snuggled against him even closer. Cove hummed sweetly, angling his body into the touch. It was a lovely moment to share, both mundane and incredibly special in its own way. But then Cove glanced past you into the distance, and he gave a deep sigh. While bringing up a hand to pull down at the skin of his cheek, he began to whisper. It's almost time. You twisted your head back. Sat on the side table next to the bed was the stock standard digital clock, flashing the current hour and minute in bright red lines. Cove was right. You were going to have to get up if you didn't want to be late. Or show up to your wedding in pajamas. Why not? Happy birthday, Killface! Early happy birthday! Congratulations on that farting. What do you mean I did? Not farting. Yeah, happy early birthday, Killface. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow, so yeah. Yeah, show up at the wedding. Yeah, show up in pajamas. Why not? Pajama wedding. Pajama party wedding. Why not? By the forlorn look on Ko's face, he would have honestly considered standing in front of all your friends and family in pink striped shorts if it meant he could have stayed. Eventually, his eyes let go of the clock, and his attention came back to you. Watching you watch him had let Cove basically read your thoughts. He developed a bent smile before speaking again. Would it be wrong to say 5 more minutes today of all days? Forget that planning we did. Let's just stay here all day. That got a laugh from Cove, and he continued smiling. He flipped the covers up and pushed himself into a sitting position. Cove then dropped his legs down off the mattress, so his bare feet were against the floor. My party is going to meet me in the other room. You and your party can get ready in this one. After making it halfway up, he stalled and stared at the ceiling. You lifted yourself to be settled more upright. All right. Yeah. Cove's yeah wasn't directed at anything in particular. He was grasping to fill space, to buy time while he sorted his thoughts. We're getting married. I'm going to marry you. The gravity of the occasion fell on Cove heavier and heavier as he vocalized it. His hands gripped the sheet, as if bracing himself from the weight. My stomach hurts. Cove. You weren't able to say another word before he jumped from the bed and sped around the full edge of it to stand in front of you on the opposite side. But he didn't stand still, his weight shifting from his heels to the tips of his toes in an uneven rocking motion. Cove had found thoughts to share and let them out in rapid fire. I have to go. Right now. I'm getting nervous, it's going to get worse, but I want to do this, more than anything else. While you had been prepared for this to happen, your heart still felt squeezed seeing it. Driven equally from fear and determination, Cove abandoned the bed completely and piled whatever he thought he might need into his hands to make a single trip across the hall. His phone, charger, water bottle, suitcase, overnight bag, a pair of shoes, all of it was pressed against his chest or thrown over his shoulders. It was an impressive feat. Bye. I love you. I love you too. Cove came around the bed where you sat once more and awkwardly bent his knees down to give you a kiss. You were careful not to knock anything out of his grip as you kissed him in return. Morning breath kiss, you. He moved away without letting himself linger on it, though it had put a grin back on his face. Then your fiancé strode briskly over to the door, yanked it open, and exited the room, managing to hold everything in arms and himself together. Thanks, Guildface. I mean, big parties, a lot of people, so this is the last time you'd see him until you both arrived at the wedding. You were traveling separately from the hotel. The room became completely quiet in an instant after Cove's whirlwind retreat. There was no point in lingering yourself, and you slipped out of the bed. Your clothes were hanging up against the door of the small hotel closet, and you went over to check over the outfit. You gave your arms a good stretch, feeling pleased with the assessment. Everything felt perfect. From there, you went into the bathroom to brush your teeth and shower before anything else. Just like that, Cove gets COVID. Once clean and dry and half-dressed, you went back out into the main space of the hotel room. I forget, when did this game originally launch? I forget if this game came out... November 20... Yeah, so this game did actually come out November 2020. Yeah, this game came out in November 2020, so COVID was in full swing. And then this DLC just came out, after the main game. Both my daughters are sick, so I'm just waiting for my turn. Ah, shit. Your phone lit up with a new message, and you glanced at it. The wedding party had arrived. They were in the lobby. You put your own phone down to pick up the hotel's landline. When the desk manager answered, you explained the situation, and they promised to leave the group to your room. The call ended simply. A short time later, a knock vibrated through the heavy front door. You answered it right away. Liz was there with a smile to greet you. The rest of the party filed in after. Congrats and hellos were exchanged as they passed. My strategy is to just never leave my room. Avoid people. It's really nice to see you. You had decided to have your ma do your hair. And Liz would put on makeup for you. Liz knew the arrangement and would make sure it stayed on track. You and your party got right to work, changing, primping, and polishing up for the occasion. You got yourself tucked, zipped, and buttoned into your dramatic shirt and skirt, when a series of rapid, but not especially loud, knocks struck the door. Only a few people could come to the room without approval, and the sound was not Cove. There wasn't any of his usual notable pauses between knocks. That left one other main option you thought as your best woman went over to answer the door. There on the other side was your partner in this wedding journey, Baxter. His outfit looked as though he reverted back to his teenage self. It was all black. But you were aware that staff would be dressed top to bottom in dark shades, to be recognizable to the guests as employees, and not as possible long-lost cousins twice removed. He offered his polite greeting of his own, to you and your party. Hello, and a very good morning to you. Hi, good morning. You look incredible already, but don't fret. I won't interrupt the process for long.
How are you?
I'm here to check in. Is there anything you need? Not a big flu getter? Yep. Yeah, I basically never get the flu. Colds once in a while. Flu, I don't know that I've ever had. You wouldn't happen to have a cove on you somewhere? The curve of his smile pulled ever so slightly higher. Unfortunately not. Though, let me add, I also came in order to keep you informed of the wedding status. Oh? A hopeful bent came through in your tone.
Yeah.
Yes, the status is, it's ready when you are. It should go off without a hitch. That was music to your ears. You were so grateful Baxter had gone to as much effort as he had for this. It's his job. With absolute earnestness, Baxter wished you well.
Take care.
I'll let you return to your preparation now. Bye. Thanks for coming. The light-hearted mood of wedding work swept back in with no further distractions. Lee did your nails. Your nails were short. For the paint, you went with... a pastel color. That was specifically... purple. Your party was there to get you through the whole morning of preparation. There were laughs and a few tears, all happy. There was a time investment, however, the look did eventually come together. The clothes, your hair, and makeup was all set to what had been planned for the day. Good night, Killface. You glanced down at yourself, fully dressed to get married. You grinned, satisfied with yourself. You stood in the center of the room, and, after a moment to yourself, the rest of the group surrounded you. You've never looked better! That's saying something, just saying. I think you'll skirt by just fine. Nice job, kiddo. You're all grown up. Yeah, you're gonna knock Cove right out. I love that my wedding party is like all these women, and then I've got Derek in there. You know, my two moms, my sister, my female cousin, and then just throw in a random dude. Throw in this dude. Hey, Mons. I do find it hilarious just having him in there. I figure he's more my friend. He was more my friend than Cove, so it makes more sense for him to be in my wedding party than Cove's. But Cove's wedding party is like his dad, his mom. Terry's a guy, Miranda's a girl, so he's got like an even mix of guy and girl. Mine is four women and a dude. And then the moment had arrived. You didn't have to wait any longer. Your wedding was about to begin, and Cove would be there when you arrived. Exactly, Jordan. Gotta make it diverse. Token dude. You took a deep, steadying breath and stepped out into the hallway. Rapidly, you made your way to the elevator and took it down to the lobby floor. Derek is kind of daddy to be. He is! It didn't take you very long to weave across the hotel lobby and exit through the front doors. Outside, you immediately spotted the rental car that was sent to bring you to the Poppy Hill. Does Jamie have parents? Yes! Jamie has two moms. Birth parents are dead. Jamie's birth parents are dead. But, yeah. Got the two moms. You slipped into the car, and your best woman tucked in after you. Closing your eyes, you got comfortable and enjoyed the drive. There was plenty of legroom. Glancing out the window, your eyebrows raised in surprise, because you recognized just how far you were from the Poppy Hill. It'd only be a few more minutes until everything you'd been working towards would finally come to fruition. You were so joyful. The car couldn't get there soon enough. Grinning ear to ear, you were so ready for the ceremony to start. Lost in thought, Liz smoothed out a few wrinkles in her outfit before glancing around the back seat. She then turned her attention to you and cracked a small, satisfied smile. Everything's already going excellently. Liz lightly bumped her shoulder into you. You teasingly rolled your eyes in response. Great work, little kid. You reached over and hugged her. You held on to your sister tightly. Liz sniffled and kept a firm hand on your back so you couldn't let go yet. Liz released you and waved a finger in your face. Her eyes were red-rimmed and shiny with tears. It's wild this is finally happening, but I really am happy for you and Cove. Baxter wasn't kidding earlier when he said that the hotel was near the ceremony. The trip was already over, and there wasn't another second to spare. Slowly, you exited the car, went forward, and finally took in the first sight of your ceremony. Which is a great place to end. Like, it's not 2 hours yet. I haven't hit 2 hours yet, but that is just too good a place to end, I think. Right? Like, that just seems like the perfect spot to end right before seeing the stuff. I know it's a bit of a tease to end it before we actually get to see any of the wedding venue or anything like that, any of the wedding stuff. But it just means that the next episode, next week... Got a phone call? What did I miss? Just getting ready for the wedding. Sorry, Jordan. It just means that next week can be dedicated entirely to the ceremony. I'm sorry, Jordan and Scapegoat. Can we just get married? Next week, Jordan. One more week until we get married. Next Thursday, we will get married. Sorry, I just kind of want to check something here real quick.
Does that sound alright?
So yeah, it doesn't take very long to get to the actual wedding.
It's okay.
So I just wanted to get kind of an idea of like how long it takes to get to the actual wedding, and it is like very, very quick. So next time we play, it is going to get right into the wedding ceremony. Jordan married to you? No. I am not marrying Jordan now. Never have you exactly, Jordan. You're blonde. Sorry. You know I don't like blondes. You and Jenna know that I don't do blondes. I'm joking. The rogue strip is happening. Fair. Anywho's. Yeah, so that'll do for tonight. I'll probably end up recording some more of, I started recording Life is Strange before the storm. I've recorded one episode so far. One, first hour of Before the Storm. I'll probably end up recording a little bit more of that tonight. But don't take it personally, Jordan. I turn everybody down. I just turn everyone down. And, man, it's weird to realize that there's only 3 more videos of Life is Strange to go up. Next Friday is the last of my Life is Strange Let's Play. That one's actually a 2-hour. I decided to do like a 2-hour finale. 2-hour final episode of Life is Strange. It's a long one. I'm very curious. I am curious what the people think, what ending people think that I will have chosen. Anywho. Yeah, so I'm going to end it here. I'm going to end the stream here for tonight. I will see you all next time I see you. But for now, good night, everybody.